He stood before the wise badger, his completed treasure map in his paw. But the look on his face was not one of peace, but of a new, electrifying urgency. "Mr. Badger," he said, his voice filled with a new kind of purpose, "I've planned for the future, for when I'm gone, but I have more than enough. Can I use this wealth to make the forest better right now?" A slow, profound smile spread across the wise badger's ancient face. He had waited a lifetime for Pip to ask this question. "Pip," he said, his voice softer than ever, "you have learned to climb the mountain of wealth. Most spend their lives trying to reach the peak. Very few ever stop to ask what to do from the summit." Pip's mind was racing. His machine was so powerful, it was producing an ocean of excess acorns. "What do I do with it?" he asked, genuinely lost. "Build a bigger burrow, a golden statue of myself? What do the richest animals do with all the extra?" The badger shook his head gently. "The richest animals in history are not remembered for the shade they sat in," he said, his voice taking on a timeless quality. "They are remembered for the trees they planted for others." He gestured for Pip to follow him, not for a lesson, but for a pilgrimage. Their first stop was the oldest bridge in the forest, a beautiful arched stone bridge over a wide river. It was weathered but strong, and a steady stream of animals, young and old, were crossing it safely. This bridge was built 200 years ago by a beaver named Barnaby the First, the badger said. He was a master dam builder who had amassed a great fortune. He could have built a palace for himself. Instead, he spent the last 10 years of his life and most of his wealth building this. He knew it would connect the two sides of the forest, creating new trade routes and opportunities for generations he would never meet. He paid for a bridge he would only cross a few times himself. Next, they walked to the edge of the clearing, to a warm, humming building filled with the sound of happy chatter. It was the forest school. Inside, young badgers, squirrels, and beavers were learning to count using acorns, to read symbols from tree bark, and to understand the history of their forest. This school was founded by a wise old owl, the badger continued. She had spent her life as a brilliant investor. Instead of hoarding her knowledge and her wealth, she used it to build this school, ensuring that every child in the forest had a chance to learn, to grow, to become wiser than she was. She invested in minds that would one day lead the forest. Finally, the badger led Pip to a secluded, sun-drenched meadow. It was a breathtaking sight, a field filled with the rarest, most beautiful flowers in the world, some of which glowed with a soft, magical light. A small, simple fence surrounded it, protecting it from harm. And this, the badger said softly, was created by a quiet, solitary mole who loved beauty. He spent his fortune not on infrastructure or education, but on finding and preserving these flowers, which were on the brink of extinction. He used his wealth to protect something beautiful, simply because it was beautiful. Pip stood in silence, the weight of these three stories settling upon him. The bridge, the school, the garden. It clicked. It resonated deep in his soul. He looked back at his own mountain of acorns in his mind's eye. It was no longer a number. It was a mountain of potential. It was a mountain of bridges not yet built, of minds not yet taught, of beauty not yet saved. His wealth wasn't just a score. It was a power. It was a responsibility. He walked back to his burrow, his steps now filled not with the urgency of an investor, but with the quiet determination of a founder. He went to his massive storehouse. He didn't take a huge amount. He took one small, single bag of acorns. He walked to the center of the water fountain square, where the old water fountain had been broken for years. He hired Barnaby the beaver's grandson, and together they spent the day repairing it. By evening, it was finished. A crowd of thirsty animals gathered as fresh, clean water bubbled up for the first time in a generation. He saw the joy on their faces, he heard their thanks, and he felt a new kind of return on his investment. A return that couldn't be measured in percent, but in purpose. His wealth was no longer just a tool for his own freedom. It was a tool for impact. That evening, He sat with the wise badger, looking at a large, hand-drawn map of their forest. He felt a deep connection to this place, to its animals, to its future. His world felt complete. Then, his eyes drifted to the edge of the map. Beyond their familiar woods, the mapmaker had drawn other, distant lands, a vast, sunny savanna with strange trees, a cold, snowy taiga with towering pines. He looked at the map, at these other worlds, and for the first time, he saw that his world was much, much bigger than he had ever imagined. His potential impact could be bigger too. He turned to the badger, a new global curiosity in his eyes. "Mr. Badger," he asked, his voice filled with a new sense of adventure, Can I plant trees in other forests?"